mean,
it's not that kind of tavern. Yeah, thank you, Brother Dan.
Whistle, whistle, whistle. I'm coming up with a new catchphrase, Ryan. We're hitting our 100th episode. I'm going to try and come up with something else.
Finally.
Finally.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tavern Talk. As I said, humans on all the spectrums, you are all welcome to participate, whether you're live or watching it on replay. Stick around to the very end. You'll never know what's going to happen on Tavern Talk. Today, we have a very amazing lineup. Black Tower Podcast is joining us one more time for our first installment of After the Book series. That's right, we're going to be talking after the book. So if you've not read the entire books, let's be aware this is a full spoiler show. So do pause the stream and go read all 14 books and then come back and participate. I think in a time loop you'll get there like a wormhole, like Donnie Darko. Start, stop, come back. We'll still be live. We'll still be with you. Brother Dan, Jansen, Lashley Haynes are joining me as co-hosts as always. How's everyone doing?
Ryan, it is so good to be here. I like the idea of Fourth Age talk. The end of the books ended the Third Age. And so what happens next? Wow. Apparently we were designed to get some inkling to what happens in the Fourth Age from Robert Jordan. But unfortunately, he did not live long enough to complete that mission. But he had a goal in mind, and so we're going to start talking some Fourth Age stuff. There was a lot that changed at the end of the book series, and with our friend Jansen Lashley Hayes, we're going to deep dive into just what some of these possibilities actually could be.
And we have a slew of experts joining us. But Jansen, before I interrupt you, what were you going to say?
Hey, oh, you're not interrupting me. So, guys, like I said, there's so many groups in the Wheel of Time that's started and ended in the Third Age. But we're going to be talking about one specific group today in the Fourth Age, the Black Tower. And I'd like to start that. But before we do, I want to make a disclaimer saying I give all the shout-out and love to Robert Jordan, to Brandon Sanderson, to Harriet McDougall, and to let everyone, all you guys know, this is not something that they have written. This is not part of the series. These are just the imagination of some very dedicated fans, and one in particular. And we want anybody is welcome to please send us your feedback, some things that you think that might be happening in the Fourth Age. And once again, guys, this is all speculation, but we've worked really hard at getting some things together, and we want to hear what you guys think about it.
Well put, well put. And before we tarry further, let us bring in our guests, Josh and Daniel from the Black Tower Podcast. Couldn't be happier for this bearded group. Here it comes. All right, so
there they are.
Hello.
Oh,
hello. Good to see you again, my friends.
It's Josh.
I thought it was Herod Fell. My goodness.
And look at that pipe that Daniel has. That thing is a yardstick. My goodness.
Well put.
They're actually the same pipe.
Official Black Tower pipe.
Oh my god.
Oh, wait, let's and you can buy these where?
I don't know.
You cannot.
Okay.
Unfortunately, they were a very special custom-made order for our Gathering Madness last year.
Oh my gosh.
As a gift to the 3 Mahales of the Black Tower.
That is quite the pipe flex. That's big pipe energy right there.
Big pipe energy.
Big pipe energy.
Hey, that's what we have here at the Black Tower.
I mean,
big tower energy, big pipe energy. That's what we do.
Big dragon energy.
But it's not for us to tell you what's going on at the Black Tower. It's actually for your wonderful friend, your co-host, the the lovely Mr. Lashley Haynes to go ahead and tell us what's been going on at the Black Tower in our absence, what we can expect to come back to now that we've been gone for a while into the Fourth Age.
Okay, so we're gonna dive.
Hold on, real fast.
Hold on. I must
steer.
I know I must steer this ship into the iceberg. We have our very first sponsor, and let us dive. I want to share this with everyone right now.
Way the Leaf are proud to be partnering with Tourist Hat Coffee Company. Tourist Hat Coffee Company is a family-owned business with a strong belief in giving back to the community. Tourist Hat Coffee Company is a social purpose business whose mission is to bring people the absolute best in small batch coffee while supporting children at home and around the world. And if you go to touristhatcoffeecompany.com and use the promo code LEAF2022, you'll get 5% off your entire order. We hope Tourist Hat Coffee Company becomes your family's coffee of choice. Remember, a part of each order goes to an amazing charity and helps allow us to continue doing this show each and every week. So go to touristhatcoffeecompany.com and use promo code LEAF2022 and receive 5% off your entire order.
Let's go!
I love
that.
Tourist
I
hat.
love that.
It is true. An official sponsor, and it is everything I said is accurate. Go to their website. They have a mission statement. It is impressive and moving. If you met them in person like I did, you would understand why we are 100% behind this sponsorship. So yeah, Tourist Hat Coffee Company. You want the best beans delivered to you, and you understand that you're doing worthy causes both by the Way of the Leaf and by children around the world. That's right. Tourist Hat Coffee Company, 5% off your entire order. Thank you. Right,
and if you haven't heard of them, it's because it's a small family-owned business. It's a father and son that Ryan's been communicating with, and their heart is in the right place. Their coffee is on point. It's Ryan's favorite coffee now. I just ordered a bag. It's supposed to come in just this week, and I will give a personal reaction to it, but everything about this company is exactly what the Way the Leaf is kind of trying to do, and again, every order you do, a part of it goes to charity. So why don't you, if you like coffee, give it a try, man.
Already.
Send a back.
Nice, wonderful shout out to KayK for going ahead and helping you with that video.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
She's a
Awesome.
pretty
well,
good coffee model, I will say that.
She
I was
is a very
sold.
good coffee model.
I was sold.
I mean, small family-owned business. You guys, give it a try. I mean, it's not going to hurt. If you don't like it, you don't like
It's
it.
not gonna
Fine.
hurt.
It's not your fault.
Wait,
But at least try.
What's
it.
the
If you
worst
like
that could
coffee,
happen?
try it, yeah.
I cannot
All right,
wait
how
to
about
hear
we
a cup
never
of
say
that.
ever?
And there's a bunch of different brands. There's I ordered the espresso. MaTsDaGger just ordered the Costa Rican. I saw that there was a
Sumatran,
Matra, yeah.
Colombian,
Yeah.
Tanzanian,
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
dark roast. You want it ground, you want a whole, you got it all. All the options are there for you. Anyways, we'll stop talking about this. Get used to us. But yeah, really, support our sponsors and support any sponsor of any show you are enjoying, because it really makes sense and it helps us out a lot. All right, into the discussion. Jansen Lashley Hayes has a veritable thesis of ideas that we want to run by the extras at Black Tower Podcast and see what their initial reactions are, and we'll just dive into them.
Yeah. Coming to the
We've gone
guys
from the Hails of the Black Tower to Extras of the Black Tower. I am thoroughly offended and also respect the heck out of Ryan for going ahead and saying that.
So much hubris. Yeah, I know.
All right, Jansen.
All right.
Okay, guys, well, let's dive in. So, I decided to start 25 years after the last battle. Give everybody a little bit of time to see everything, to ingest what's happened to everyone, to get everybody and all societies back together. And we're going to talk about the Black Tower today and where they would be 25 years after Randolph Thor battled the Dark One in his famous last battle. So, I figured that I'd like to say this. Let it be stated that the Black Tower does have groups like the White Tower in kind. However, they are very different in make, belief, and composition. So They have their Ajas, and I believe that the Black Tower would have companies. They are more military based, and I believe they would have companies. So I'm going to start off with the first company, and these guys, I believe, are some of the most influential guys in the Black Tower, and I'm going to call this first company the Commanders. Now, these guys would be specializing in law enforcement, and you could consider the Commanders as officers in the military, channelers who went to a type of West Point, you would say, in the Black Tower, and they're always commanded by the Storm Leader, who I also believe would be second in command to whoever the Mahale was at the time. I think
but the real question is, how is their football playing skills? Are they better after the name change, or are they worse?
I think they'll probably be worse after they got rid of their own.
There we go.
The kind of fun that they had before. But
you know, when they were just the football team, it was the best.
yes,
That was the best
Black
name
Tower
ever.
Football team. 100%.
now I do also think that the Commanders would be working all the time with the Aiel all over the world, because the Aiel would be handling a lot of law enforcement all over the world, and which was extremely needed because of the pact of the Griffin, the pact of the Dragon, and the Dragon's Peace. So I think that they would start out as the officers in the Black Tower. I think that they would have a lot of authority and a lot of prestige. And I think that they would all of the companies would answer to the Mahale, who at the time right now is Logain Ablon, who, as we remember, is still destined for greatness, unlike no man has ever seen before. According to men. And knowing that the taint is gone, knowing that these men, especially men like Logain, with the power that they have, are going to be living in the next 6 to 7, possibly 800 years. 25 years in, they're just getting started. They're just starting to find their way. They're realizing where they stand in the world, opposite Aes Sedai, opposite the people that have come to know them and not be scared of them.
Well, let me back up if I can, Jansen, because I do have a question. So you had mentioned the IL, and you had mentioned, would the Black Tower, would there be like a Chai Mahale or whatever instead of a Chai Fail? I mean, would there be a, I guess, would they be part of the tower or part of?
Well, see, I don't think that they would be part of the tower, because I think that Aiel, the Aiel, remember what they used to do with their channeler. They would send them to the Blight to die.
Mm-hmm.
And unbeknownst to them, the Dark One would harvest.
Or get some really cool teeth.
Get some really cool teeth. Those are grills. Those are the OG grills, right?
So I believe that the Aiel in law enforcement, the ones that are all part of the clans, the Stone Dogs, all of those guys, they would be the ones in the military. We also know through visions of Avienda that fire sticks or shock lances will be made. So all of those guys are going to have those weapons, and they're going to have the means to fight whoever they need to fight and to uphold the law. I think that Aiel channelers will, if they choose to go to the Commanders, will go there. I have something to say about those channelers, but that's going to come a little bit later, because I believe that Aiel channelers would be gravitating towards something else.
So I think that there's an issue, but okay. So the Commanders, you have a magical law enforcement.
Yes.
That so during the Third Age, even though the influence of the Aes Sedai was undisputed, the respect was not necessarily granted. A lot of people did not like Aes Sedai. They didn't trust them. They thought that they were manipulative. Now you add a military aspect to this, and the Aiel are, let's call them bristly at best.
Yes.
This I don't see this is working out well. This is not what a fourth age
I'll tell you why.
law enforcement should look like in my eyes.
Now, see, here's the thing. The Aiel made an oath to Rand and to the Pact in Marilor that they would do this.
Yes.
And even when they did, the very first time they balked at Elaine, she called them on it, and they said, "I'm so sorry, we have to." They, if you know anything about the Aiel, even when their ancestors make oaths for them, they pretty much keep them, even if they don't like them. They're Aiel.
They try
Mhm.
to anyway.
I believe that they would definitely, and I think the commanders that I have come up with, I think that they would work with the Aiel, but I don't think that they would just work with Aiel. I think they would work with kings, with queens, with anyone who has problems with the law. They would be guides to help people and help society move along with finding justice and rightness to the world. And I think that they would be a very good offshoot to to groups in the White Tower, like the Gray Aja, like the White Aja. I think that would happen. And also the other thing you said, now you said how people don't trust the Aes Sedai, and that is totally true. I think, going about with what Rand was thinking in Lord of Chaos, I believe that even though there would be a Black Tower, I believe that there would be a small Black Tower society in every city, every town, because I believe that the Black Tower would live amongst people. I believe that their people would. Rand was very, very specific about the fact that he didn't like how aloof that the Aes Sedai were to people. He thought that they were too broken off from the average man, but I think that the Ashramen would be living amongst people. One of the big differences between the Black Tower and the White Tower. I believe that you could belong to the Black Tower and still live in Andor, and still live in Ilion, and still live, and you could even live in Selizan, which is so far away nobody knows what's going on. But you could live everywhere, and I believe them living amongst the people would make the people trust and understand them better than they ever did the White Tower, because the White Tower was so aloof and so ensconced in secrecy.
Yeah, and didn't Avienda? You were telling me earlier in a conversation about Avienda seeing the Black Tower being dispersed amongst the people, correct?
Yes, she did.
Okay.
She saw them being dispersed among the people. That was during the fight with Sancha.
So,
I also want to go ahead and throw out there that I actually totally agree with the talk about the Black Tower being more dispersed and going out and living more among the people. And to their credit, I actually have a very strong feeling, and again, as Jansen said at the beginning of this is one fan's opinion, that I actually think pretty strongly that after the Third Age and into the Fourth, that the White Tower would also realize to a certain extent, at the very minimum because of the proliferation of the Black Aja, that they actually would also need to be, or at least want to be, more out and active with the people as well, rather than being as cooped up in a single location with, being very insular, being very cut off, being whatever, because it did not serve them nearly as well in the end of the Third Age as I think a lot of them expected it to.
yeah.
That is not the way that it played out. And so I actually want to give some credit to the Aes Sedai in a lot of ways, that I strongly feel like they will also be more out and about, which also encourages even more the Black Tower to also then be out and about in the world as well.
Let me try to set our foundation here before we move on. And I'll ask you guys, Josh and Daniel, is there a White Tower and a Black Tower, or is there just a Gray Tower?
So
White and black.
this
There's a white,
especially this time frame specifically,
Yes.
white and black.
You don't think that there's going to be all kind of bonding going on? And
I think
yes, but that doesn't make it not two towers. It just means that there's certain blendings of members of the towers.
I think,
But the institutions themselves are still one and one rather than actually making the two towers into one entity.
And with Katsuin running the White Tower, having at one point actually captured Loghain, there's no way either of them would let it happen.
All right, so to that point, Shansny says, I think a lot of what happens with the White Tower will depend on who's Emerald after Katsuin.
I agree with that as well.
Any thoughts on that? Actually, Josh, feel free to jump in, my friend.
So I do want to back up for 1 second. You were absolutely right. The Black Tower would absolutely have organizations, companies, platoons, what have you. We have taken to calling them Gar, which means in the old tongue, weapon. Sort of carrying over the tradition of the dragon himself when he founded the Black Tower and said, I need weapons to fight.
I love that.
Battle.
So G-A-R, Gar, G-A-R?
So like Osangar.
Osangar, okay, awesome. Beautiful.
Yes, and it would be added to the end of other words with that apostrophe right before. So
you'd have...
Like, it would be...
The Sorovan Gar, or the Baijan Gar.
Very cool.
Those kinds of things.
Yes.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, and we would absolutely 100% agree with you on the certain sects within the Ashaman assisting the Aiel as the enforcers of the Dragon's Peace. However, there's one problem.
Or being assisted by, either way.
Well, there's one problem with this, because Queen Elaine is very, very, very desperately trying to find a reason for why the Black Tower belongs to the Crown of Andor. Yes. And Loghain is also trying very, very hard to resist that. So, especially 25 years afterwards, they're going to be finding a lot of difficulty establishing themselves in the world. They don't want to do too much outside the Black Tower walls because they don't want to even risk messing with Andorran's sovereignty. But they will absolutely be helping the Aiel as a power play to prove that, no, we're not a part of Andor, because if we were a part of Andor, we'd be violating the Dragon's Peace, and we're not violating the Dragon's Peace. So, like... I
think that's true, but I also think that because of that is the reason why they couldn't make the Black Tower grounds as large as they'd want to. So I believe there would be buildings in every town, in every city, with gateways inside them, and they could walk to different libraries. So you walk into the Black Tower, you walk into a hallway, there's 100 gateways. And you can go anywhere you want in the Black Tower. You're part of the Black Tower all over the world. That's all right,
so let's clarify real quick.
I love that idea.
Yeah, that's
my
beautiful.
Favorite idea so far.
Let's clarify real quick for Shansny. Are the Gars just one of the Ajas? Or are the Gars the equivalency of the Ajas?
Aja is to the White Tower as Gar is to the Black Tower.
Excellent. Okay, beautiful.
I love it, love it, love it, love it.
Now, one way we will differ is that you were saying that those underneath the Sorovan Mahale would be the ones that were working security. We've got a little different, because the Baijan Mahale is the battle leader, which would make the Baijan Gar the battle weapon, or the battle guard. Those would be your soldiers. Those would be your enforcers. Those would be your soldier military type people. Yes. The Sorovan Gar probably, and this is just as we've talked about it over the last few years and kind of gone through it all. The Sorovan Gar would probably be more like your Jedi Sentinel. What's the nature of Sidene? Studying the nature of Sidene, understanding Sidene. There's probably going to be some research and development in there. There's probably going to be some diplomats in there.
All right, well, hold, pause. Jansen, what is your equivalency to that?
Well, I think they're right, and which was kind of bringing me to the next Gar, the Artisan Gar.
Ooh.
Okay.
These are the Ashaman dedicated to the physical arts, to crafting, to helping people craft, to making sculpture,
power weapons,
to making weapons, to doing what's the one word I love that Robert Jordan uses, the ornamentation, of all kinds of different things. These guys would be.
So if they do topiary and stuff, are they gardeners? Thank you.
I actually have one of those too.
I think they're from Okinawa. That's what they are.
Yeah, the
Come to my garden.
Like the people that built Whitebridge, things like that, like that made it beautiful. That helped other engineers build things, or just straight artistry. How they made the statues that held the spheres, and the hand and tremolking, things like that. I think
Ogier built. Artisan Gar wrought.
Yeah, they would work. Yes, they would work with.
Well, isn't that what the ways were originally?
Oh no!
Correct.
Well, the ways were a gift by the men who were sheltering in
right.
in the.
Yeah, I don't think that the Ogier technically helped build those at all. But I think that they did have sort of. I mean the male Aes Sedai who were building them obviously had a strong influence of wanting to build it in a way that Ogier would enjoy, given their gift of appeasing the madness for a certain amount of time and welcoming them in with the open arms for the most part, seemingly. And so I think they probably had a lot of design elements of Ogier, but they didn't actually help build them.
Well, one of those men made the talisman of growing ter'angreal for the Ogier to use.
Correct.
And make more waygates.
Gateways. Yeah, or waygates. There we go. I love it when they just switch the words. Is it a gateway or a waygate?
Yes. Is that the last Angreal that we know that a male had made during the time of the breaking?
The last one that we know having been mentioned, certainly not. I would expect probably not the last one that was actually made.
No. I would think the Eye of the World.
Okay, there's an argument that can be made that is a ter'angreal. I don't know.
It's a well.
Mistress said it took 100 of them to make it pure, and then they died.
It's a well.
Yeah, good point.
It is a well. That is absolutely true.
That uses the power.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I like that. So that would be the last one, presumably, because that is effectively the end of male Aes Sedai.
I would think that the ways were made a little later, because these were the last remnant of the mad male channelers that did this. I think the eye was made before all that. But anyways, we're getting off topic, but I don't know. I think I'm right.
What?
Yeah, really. What a tangent.
Well, remember the talisman had to be made before the first waygate.
That is true.
It had to be made. So it was.
And the other thing that I would say is Shansni actually brings up another sort of interesting point, is that it was made with men and women. The Eye of the World was. Not the ways. But I do think that it's very interesting the different process by which the two were made, which is why the well ends up being still okay, even being encompassed by the blight. 1,000 years later, 2,000 years later, 3,000 years later, whatever the actual time frame specifically is between the time that it's made and the time that it's used. Whereas the ways get so screwy because there were no women in the building of it, and we don't have any idea how many male channelers made them, how mad they already were, and whether there was anything that actually got put into them intentionally or not that made them the way they are.
We know that there were traps put in there.
Correct.
By them. We know that. And they were still working by the time the Eye of the World came out. So
that is correct. Anyway.
Also, guys, in the fourth age, are we still going to have the old tongue? I mean, are we going to evolve our language a little bit? We're still going to use the old tongue in the fourth age?
Yes.
I believe so.
Alright.
because
You
Use?
All right.
use or commonplace,
Well,
because those are two different things. Because even in Age 3, it is not commonplace to speak the old tongue. It is common.
Recognize it. Whenever Matt
And then
mutters,
there
they're like,
is-
"What's that? What's that, boy? You speaking old tongue?"
If I
But
can-
it is,
right.
I mean, in our world right now, we've been around for a really long time, and Latin is still something that people use on
That's funny.
occasion.
Chassis brought that up right now.
Yeah, exactly.
And I actually wanted to go back. I wanted to challenge this before Dan Lou said this. Yeah. Was the Eye of the World a part of the Blight? Was it encircled
It
by the
was-
Blight? Was it, I mean, because are we assuming it was a coincidence that they just happened to be fleeing and find it? Or did the Blight
Mentioned it
somehow
only
move
found-
to them? What's that?
It was only found in the Blight.
Yeah,
Everybody
Lorraine finds it twice,
yes, because
both
of
times in the Blight.
But it's not a part of it though,
But-
right? Like
so
in that
Mesh,
regard, like, all right, so did the Blight find the group or did the group find the Blight?
Oh, the Blight, or the Eye of the World.
I mean, the Eye of the
definitely
World-
found the group.
Okay, so what
Absolutely,
is that?
Without a doubt.
well,
then-
that's because the Eye of the World is part of Tel'aran'rhiod.
Mother effer.
They found it on need, just
Uh-huh.
like the Tigreal and the White
And-
Tower and
and
all
as
those other.
Someshta
Ooh,
was
okay.
a gardener, is a buffer to the Blight
A demi
Also
plane.
back.
true.
and keep it safe. That was his mission.
Yeah.
All right, a demi plane. I love that idea.
Yeah.
Um,
So
Alright,
is that
I
where they
would-
fought? Is that where Rand went to then?
he must have because
That's
he was
one of
doing
the
things he
reasons why he
yeah.
was able to do what he did.
do
yeah.
shit. Yeah, because he just thought it and it happened.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
Beautiful. God damn it. Yeah.
So Artisan
So-
Gar.
I like this. We are getting a little off topic when we interrupt Jansen, so I am going to vote for Jansen getting through at least the entirety of what this Gar is based on his notes, and then the next Gar, and then we'll go ahead and talk about it.
Okay, well, I'm
Yeah.
going into the next Gar right now.
Oh, fantastic!
Oh,
Excellent.
is it called the next scar? Okay.
So hold on. Would Artisan Gar, is this a creation of Angreal as well? Like, do they?
Absolutely, they would be. Well, I think that there are more with the physical arts, like paintings, sculptures, things that are beautiful, things that they want people to come see. Things like that. I think that. But also keep in mind, just like in the White Tower, where you have Ajahs that work with other Ajahs, and so just like the sisters, like Van Deen and her sister did, because they were both different Ajahs. I think that the Black Tower would do the same. Certain ones, people would work together. It would just like, and this is perfect for me going into my next Gar.
Hold on, real fast. Come on, Artisan Gar. So, what would a one power painting look like, or how would that even work?
It would
Well,
look like the
it-
Harry Potter moving picture.
It would have a lot to do with scale.
The paintings move and stuff. They're all, hey, brother Dan.
Well, you don't
Yeah.
expect him to sit around in the picture all day, do you?
Yeah.
Well, just like the Age of Legends, when you're walking through the ruins of the Westlands in the Third Age, you see statues so big and vast that they could never be made today. It was the one power that was used to make some of those things. And I think that just like the ter'angreal and the statue in Carrion, I think that these artisans would work together to make massive, massive things that were beautiful, that people like faces on the sides of mountains of kings and things like that. I think that they would be the ones that would enrich the world that way.
Would city engineering and like indoor plumbing and electricity, would that all come from Artisan as well, or is there a different Gar?
I think there's a different guard for that.
Okay, awesome.
Oh,
All right.
All right. I think I've
There's a
exhausted my questions. Can we move on? Everyone?
Yes.
Okay.
The next
All right.
guard
Sorry
would
to
be
interrupt.
The Armorer's Guard.
Mm.
Armorers would be in charge of making, selling, and trading different, power wrought weapons and helping people. Because consider this: even though we do have the Dragon's Peace, there is still Shan-Chen, and there are still the Eastern Marches in Shara that they still would be doing. So people would still be fighting. Aiel would still need new kinds of weaponry, and people would still have to defend themselves. And I think that the Armorer Gar would be fantastic for that. and they would be guys, and yes, they would work with artisans to make things beautiful after they were done. And after they finished making something, they handed it over to the artisans for ornamentation and things like that. They're just one of the small things that artisans would do. People would come, because of the Black Tower was also involved with the world, people would be able to come and commission them for things.
Jansen, that sounds like the NGARA. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Form over function.
I mean, and that was a pun. That was a good one. But it does sound like, so we are giving everyone now power rot armor and weapons. This isn't going to create more peace.
No, it would be like the Age of Legends. I mean, if you remember this too, because this is something that I never understood why they didn't elaborate on in the books. If you remember the Battle of the Two Rivers, Yvonne started teaching them how to make catapults. Varen and Alana went to the catapults and used the one power to enhance those weapons. Can you imagine if Varen or Alana went to a dragon and enhanced the dragon? You'd have a nuclear weapon almost. I mean, so you have to believe that the armorers, the Ashaman, would be thinking about this, and they would start enhancing things. Like things would, everything. Like the one power, like Egwene said it, in the Gathering Storm. I believe she said it to, and she said, "There is no wonder that we have so many talents starting right now and coming back after thousands of years. And now that they have men channeling." And they didn't even focus on all the talents that men had, except for Androl, and Loghain and Nath. Those are the only three they talked about. They talked about Nath's wind. They talked about Androl's talent for traveling. And Loghain had one of the same talents that Aes Sedai had by being able to see TAVERN. So that was just the beginning of the things that we could think of that the Black Towers, the men would start...
I love everything here for one paramount reason, and that is Loghain's number one priority as leader of the Black Tower is to find legitimacy and relevancy in the Fourth Age, because there's going to be a culture of people who are, oh, the last battle's fought. We won. Everything's great. What do we need a military for?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And as you said, there's still the Shan-Chan breathing down everybody's necks. There's still Shara. We've still got necessary application. I mean, not to mention, I'm sorry, I don't believe for one second that every single Trolloc was killed in the last battle.
Yep.
Like
100%.
Come on.
I mean, so but they're connected to Myrddraal, right?
Right, but the other piece of that is, as someone who's looking for a place, a solid, established, necessary role in this new age, the Black Tower is a blank canvas for where do we want to go, what do we want to do. We have to create our own sphere of influence. And the best way to do that is, as you're going on with the Artisan Gar and the Armorer Gar, is to accentuate the beautification of different cities, amplify some of the luxuries or some of the necessities that people still need, and I think that would be an extremely intelligent move for Loghain to make, is to provide weapons and armor to people who need it, or especially for even if nothing else, the Aiel would come in and they would want power rot spears. Power rot arrows. Like, maybe we find a way to make power rot bucklers. I don't know. I'm thinking that it'll eventually just become
that spear banging against this power rot buckler. Just how much?
It'd be like Mjolnir on Steve Rogers' vibranium.
Yeah,
shield.
there we go. Mjolnir on vibranium.
Fireworks. I think that this guard would end up just doing security locks, and would become like a deadbolt master or something.
I want to get to this point real quick. this was a very early point, but I still think it's
Yes.
relevant. Do you think success in the Black Tower is going to be them ditching times, rankings, and divisions?
What do you think, Jensen,
No.
real quick?
I think that here's a great thing. So just like in the White Tower, they still had a painting of one of the worst Aes Sedai to ever live. They had a painting of Bonwyn. And she was there, and she was also in the triptych.
Oh, you mean the second worst Aes Sedai ever?
Yeah,
They
besides
the second
also
worst.
have
Yeah,
a- they also have a painting of Elida as
Yeah.
well.
Wait.
Her
Leandrin was there
painting
somewhere
is
as well.
the best painting. She's told by everyone
Yeah.
everywhere that her painting is the greatest painting they've ever seen.
Yeah,
The
it's-
best palace that's ever been built on Tarvalon grounds.
Yeah, and I
And
believe
we are
that
gonna
the-
make the White Tower great
Yeah, let's go. That is the best hat I've ever
So
seen.
I
in my
want
life.
everyone to just real quick, as a side note, if you see us wearing these hats at a convention, it is make the White Tower great again. Okay,
Yeah.
It is 100% a dig on Elida.
There
So
are
M
three
Twig.
places that I am allowed to wear this hat. Is in my own home.
Oh yeah, here we go.
One of them is at any convention that is Wheel of Time based, and one of them is at a MAGA rally because no one would know the difference. I would never
Ryan.
attend one of those.
I was about to say,
but I could.
Any of those, Daniel?
Ryan Jensen, these guys have pipes. They have make the White Tower great again hats. Here we are like chumps with nothing. We only got puppets.
Whoa! You guys have coffee.
Oh, we got
Yeah,
coffee.
You're right. We
And
have
mattresses.
Where's that
What are
coffee?
you guys talking about? You guys are chumps.
And we
Get
have
outta
the
here.
best discussion that is currently going
and
on.
we
there,
and we have
I-
stickers, guys.
and we yeah.
Patreon.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway,
The next
I actually want to throw something out real quick because I just thought of it and I really liked the earlier thing that we were talking about, and it was just a thought that I had was I love the idea that the Black Tower is Disneyland and they can't actually expand out around
Yes!
Disneyland because no one will go no other part of Andor will allow them to move out. So at some point they just see this wide open area in the north where the Blight used to be and is no longer, and they go, Disney World.
Disney World.
Disney World's up there.
Uh,
And of course, again, I still absolutely love and 100% agree with and am 100% behind the idea of the embassies everywhere
yes.
Yeah.
for the Black Tower.
Yes.
But just the idea of like Ashaman being like, why are we all cooped up here?
Yeah,
Let's
let's-
go up there.
Right.
let's move to Florida, as you're
Well,
saying.
no, to Palm Springs. I mean,
Absolutely.
it'll just be like Palm Springs. There'll be golf courses near Meridian and stuff.
That's another thing. Why? Okay, the Black Tower could negotiate as part of assisting the Aiel a presence in Ruidian and
Yes.
access to all the goodies there.
Yeah. That's coming.
All right, yeah. Let's move on.
Let's stop
Move
it right
on,
there
move on.
with ideas that you've already
Anything
thought
else about Armor Gar?
So
Armor
the
Gar.
next, that was the Armorer Gar. So the next Gar is the first one that I would talk about that would be working more extensively with Aes Sedai, specifically the Yellow Aja, the Doctor's Gar,
Yes.
the healers. These are guys who, dedicated like Damar Flynn.
Yes.
They would be dedicated
Timber!
finding new ways to help heal people, to help heal the mind, to help heal the body. And they would be working extensively with the Yellow Aja because I believe that they had both the Doctors and the Yellow Aja have the temperament to grow together. And I think that
Oh,
those
absolutely.
two would definitely work together, trade, not just trade information, but use each other's information to help each other by, linking together and
Yes.
doing all those things. And I think that would be a fantastic Gar, in addition to the Black Tower. Not only that, but it would help make the Black Tower stronger and more influential with not just the Aes Sedai, but with everyone.
All right, hey, new name, new face, Edward Patterson. Welcome to the channel, the show.
Hey.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Great point. No one's claiming the Black Mountains. The Black Tower could look down on Tarvalon.
Hey, why not? I mean, it is their mountains.
Right
I
on
mean,
top of
No,
Dragon.
hey, there's been a lot of comments in chat. You guys are having a great conversation. I've been trying to let this discussion have a linear fashion that we're not used to. It's going great. We're going to keep going through the list. I love the structure. But yeah, after we go through the list, we're going to have a more broad discussion about the Black Tower, and we'll get to some of your questions. So keep them coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will address a lot of them after the list. Doctor's Gar.
Would we have like perhaps like like an OB, like a I don't know,
Dan.
Garcanologist?
Well, I think that they would definitely have to work with the Aiel too, because the Aiel, unlike the Aes Sedai, had various ways of helping childbirth. They had different ways of helping childbirth, and
Yeah.
if you remember the procedure that was
Aiel were like, tough it out.
Yeah, they're like go bury ashes in sand with a spoon.
So they knew how to do that, and I think this would be one of the companies, one of the GARs in the Black Tower that would work more extensively with other channelers, with women, with everyone, from midwives to everyone, and they would be, I believe, because of that, they would be some of the most influential with the common man. Not only because they were healers, but because of what they did for you.
I would also like to say, in addition to that particular point, that keeping in mind that we have the foreign exchange program going on between the White Tower, the Aiel, and the Sea Folk, supposedly Cadsuane would keep that up. I would think that would be a smart thing for her to do. I think it would be interesting to see, especially now that Aiel and Sea Folk know that they can have men channelers again. I think eventually what you're going to have is Aiel and Sea Folk establishing their own organizations, and the Black Tower also having a foreign exchange student program.
I agree with you, and you'll see why very soon.
So the new weaves, the new ways of doing things would be shared as well. Sorry.
And that would be a change from how the White Tower handled things, in which each Aja had their own special weaves that they didn't share.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, I agree with that as well.
So the Doctor's Guard, are we picturing like just free clinics just around?
Yes.
And would
That
this
would
also
be the
include
ideal.
like channelers who are battling like wilders, or people who are, because we are going to, is there a recruitment Gar coming up?
There is kind of
A propaganda guard.
not a problem.
Propaganda Gar?
I believe that the Black Tower would have, just like Egwene did, she changed the White Tower to let anyone in, because she said it, and this is a direct quote from Egwene, that the White Tower was too weak to ever turn away any source of strength. And that was the reason why we saw people like Sharina Malloy and some of the older novices come into the fold. I actually had another discussion. I believe Sharina is going to be extremely powerful and extremely influential. But, the healers, the Doctor's Guard, they would also be working with the kin in Andor, because Egwene already set up a hospital there before the last battle started, with some of the kin to help solidify what they were going to be doing in the Fourth Age. So I believe that the doctors, I think just like today, I think the doctors would be some of the most influential on Ashaman, and I think that they would be essential to the Black Tower's standing, their everything, and how they were sought and how they were looked at with the world. And yes, all healing would be free. I believe that.
It's a real renaissance of sorts, right? They're unhindered by the three oaths. They're unhindered by general popular mistrust. There's a lot of that going on, and I think there's a renaissance, and I do think, while I agree with our previous sort of establishment that there will be two organizations, that Logain and Cadsuane are still very much not okay with crossing streams, as it were. I think that, especially maybe with 25 years into it, they're going to find numerous ways in which it's advantageous for Aja and Gar to work together. Absolutely. Medical practices, easy. That's easy. You know, yep. that's a big one. There's going to be, you know, if we've got a detachment of Ashaman who are working security, guess what? The Green Aja, they're going to jump in and be like, it'd be a great idea for us to work together. And there's going to be a lot of that. And I feel like, as much as I like to refer to the Black Tower as a clean slate, the White Tower was established several thousand years ago for the purpose of representing in the last battle.
Yes.
So, in a lot of ways, the White Tower is a blank slate as well. It's something Correct. New, and I think a lot of these people are going to spend a lot of time finding their place in the world.
The Red Aja, which was the most populated,
yes,
has no purpose now.
It's coming.
And
their purpose would be changed.
Yes. Yeah, I believe that the Red Aja, I should have said that. I believe that the Red Aja worked extensively with the commanders, because I also believe that even though the commanders were in law enforcement and all of those things, they're also in charge of the enforcement. They're in charge of the enforcement of the law. I believe that that has to go to channelers too, which brings the Red Aja into point, because if you think about it, you break it down, the Red Aja, just like Pavara Sadai said, is to police channelers. Originally, it was male channelers, but I think because of what has happened, that's going to change. I believe they're going to be working extensively with commanders to help that, just as one aspect of the commanders. I believe commanders will be working with Reds.
What's one of the big threats that they have now? We talked about Shanchan and Shara. Yep. Shanchan and Shara both have channelers.
Yes, they do.
The Red Aja spent their time specifically studying to countermand channelers, be it Saidin or Saidar. That's their mission. So real, and we actually talked about this. We did an episode on the Red Aja, and we talked about this where we said it really doesn't have to change much for them.
No.
The only change they have to make is accepting that there's no more taint on Saidin, and that they can start to move forward with things, but their mission can remain relatively the same. It's just that they've got to change who they're keeping tabs on.
Well, but I think we're ignoring, again, I mentioned the Gray Tower aspect, and I think we're ignoring the fact that, so you had mentioned the Green Aja. Who the heck in a Green Aja is not going to have 3 or 4 warders that channel? And so this integration and vice versa. Why don't we have a Green Aja, a battle Aja in the Black Tower that is also bonded women who can channel? This integration has not happened in thousands of years, and I think that we're kind of not recognizing just what this true integration means for the world. This means a more harmonious place. I don't know if the Shara really stand a chance against a Green Aja woman who has 2 Black Tower dedicated, bonded to her. Get the heck out.
Even one. If they were co-bonded like Pavara and Andral, come on. Nobody can stand up to that. Nobody.
I actually believe that co-bonding will only be allowed in the Red Aja.
I would absolutely consider that to be,
because I think it'll be a secret. I don't think they'll tell everybody about it.
Oh, shucks. Okay, go on. So,
shucky ducky.
I'm censoring myself. I'm trying really hard to be good right now.
And remember, we like to talk about the warder bond as being something that's like super cool, but as you like dig into it, it is semi-problematic. It's a form of compulsion.
Yeah.
Yes.
But when you talk about when Alana talks about trying to, suggest to Rand something, not compulse him, obviously, because it's not compulsion. Ugh, that'd be bad. But when she tries to like suggest to him, you should do this, she can't. His ability to channel sort of, I don't know, kind of wards him from that in some ways.
Yes, I agree. I think you're right.
And so when you start talking about, but now, and we don't get any. And we don't get that when men bond women. That's not a thing, because Logain is obviously able to command them around. And let me be very clear, that's equally as bad. Probably worse. But actually definitely worse, because they were not entered in willingly.
Yep.
The idea that they go both ways.
It's worse than a normal warder.
That's what I'm saying.
It's bad as Alana. Yes.
Yeah. It's worse than a normal bonding because it's not willing. Any unwilling bonding is horrible.
Yeah, any lifetime oath you should have some say in, right?
Yes, no, absolutely. Absolutely. But co-bonding, you don't appear to have that problem. You
Correct.
don't appear to have any sort of ability to compulse anyone.
And to be fair, it may actually be a situation where almost any of the people who are co-bonded are just in a relationship that makes it so that they never feel the need or desire to do that to the other person. It doesn't specifically state that it's not a problem. It just doesn't come up.
Yeah, if you co-bond a nincompoop, I'm sure you can get them to order pizza on Friday night when you want pizza. Right?
What if a Saldom grabbed hold of a separate collar and bracelet and put the collar around her demon? Would that be the two channelers bonded situation?
If it worked.
I mean,
if it worked.
We're getting deep into some mechanics and metaphysics of that specific weave, and while I love it,
no, but that's what my brain went to. If I was involuntarily bonded and I could channel, I would try to bond that person right back.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Which is exactly what happened when Andral and Pavara did it. Pavara was like, let's do this, and Andral was like, "Oh, you want to play? Okay." And it was kind of
it was kind of like trying to push like Pavara tried to put Andral on hold, and then he fought through the hole. He was like, "You can't put me on hold."
You can't,
You're like, "Nope." You're like, "Wait, I'm putting on hold." Nope.
All right, so Dr. Sgar, is there any other questions we have about Dr. Sgar? So would we have? What would the average lifespan then be in the fourth age with a Dr. Scar, Jansen?
Well, as of right now, and I'm going to get to this too, but as of right now, for the Ashaman, the stronger they are, ones like Logain would live about 700 years.
I think he was talking about people
not the channelers. For the average person.
The general populace.
Yeah, the general population would be about 200. We remember in the chapter was called The Road to the Spear, where we saw Rand's ancestor who couldn't channel, and he was 100 and I believe 40 and just in the middle of his life. And Mirren Sedai had just given him her blessing to get married.
So with channeler doctors, we can live. The average would be 200. We get maxed out at close to 400.
Maybe, depending on how long they can keep you alive. I'm sure living near close to Nynaeve would be a blessing.
Yeah, you might get like your full body might be scarred from switching,
but do not have a party after 10. Nynaeve will
100
get
years with next to Nynaeve, and she came for your original checkup, you might just say, "No, leave me alone. I just want to die."
right.
All right, Ishamael, calm down.
right.
Okay, then that brings us to the next Gar, which is actually one of my favorites.
Mine too.
This was the one Gar that I believe that a very good percentage of Aiel channelers, especially obviously men, would be gravitating to because of what was revealed from the Aiel history. And this is called the Gardener's Guild, the Gardener's Guard.
Ooh.
Now, these shaman are, if you consider outdoorsmen, these are the ones who specialize in plant life, great outdoors things. Guys who like to go out in tents, be in the wild, talk to, and they would work also with the Ogier. Because if you remember from that same chapter from The Road to the Spear, that's where the Aiel used to sing with the Ogier and with the Nim and with channelers to make things grow, to make things, to make abundances of food and all of those things. I believe that these gardeners would work with the Ogier, and I think because of what they do, their history would draw male channelers from the Aiel nations to be part of them. And I also believe that these gardeners would follow the way of the leaf.
Heyo!
Okay.
Oh,
And you know
And
what
a
you should do
twist!
right now?
Oh!
You should follow the Way of the Leaf on YouTube and Twitch and everywhere that you're watching it right now. Leaf that subscribe button.
Well said.
perfect
Hoe
segues.
that bell.
Yeah, and there's a thumb over there too. Press that if like you're Fonzie. Say, "Hey,
All right.
Hey.
All right, if you guys want to see me refill this, I need everybody right now to like the video.
yeah, like it," and then he'll refill it.
Oh,
Like,
it went up. There we go.
That's a
Come on,
12 ounce
guys.
cup.
I need more.
All right,
What-
more
more
likes,
likes,
more likes,
glug,
more
glug,
likes,
glug,
more
glug,
likes.
More likes,
Go,
more
go,
likes.
more likes, more likes.
Thank you, Internet.
All right, so I can imagine the Gardener's Gar being pretty awesome, especially if we're dealing with like sungwood furniture.
Sungwood, all those things. When they would also, I believe, be dealing with Wolf brothers. I believe a lot. They would be dealing with all those things. I believe they would be, a lot of them would be stationed in the Two Rivers. In one of those Black Tower stations. I think there'd be a lot of them there.
So it's actually really the natural order Gar, not necessarily just the Gardener Gar, but the natural order Gar.
Love that.
They're the DN Gar. Thank you.
Yeah, but these are the guys, these would be the guys who are always outside, who love nature, who, would rather be staying in their tent and cooking simple food like Avienda did on her way to, Roniel the second time. Guys who like to cook outside, guys who like to
Why would the Black Tower support this as a faction of their organization?
Because I believe they think that every part of the world should be
They're just
involved.
hippies.
And I think that, them following, the Gardeners following the way of the leaf, obviously the Tuathan would love them. And they would sing with them and help them find their song. I think that would be huge.
There's a very specific section where Rand looks at Logain and says, "I was wrong. I don't need weapons. I need men. I need people." And from the inception of the Black Tower, they said, "Bring your families, bring your wives, bring your children, bring your pets. I don't care." We recognize early on that everyone needs to be here in order to fashion a more effective organization.
So
Yeah.
would that be like the gardeners? Would that be within their realm? Do you feel like helping with childcare and stuff?
I think so, because you know what? Also, it would also give the channelers that were Tuathon a very easy way to get in, to go to the Black Tower and feel comfortable.
And think about it like this too. We're 25 years after the last battle. The Black Tower is still essentially in its infancy.
Yep.
So there's going to be a lot of overlap.
Oh yeah.
Because as men come into Sidene and start understanding where their talents are, where their interests are, there's going to be, I really like plants, but I also really like medicine. Plants and medicine go really well together. If I work with, so there's going to be, we don't have the benefit of the White Tower, where the White Tower has been established for thousands of years. And they've gone, look, we've specialized. We understand the needs. We are good. We know how to organize. And the Black Tower doesn't really have that benefit, for better or for worse. And so there's going to be a lot of overlap. So I think it's absolutely valid to say someone following the way of, and also what more natural place than someone following the way of the leaf to quote unquote
Heyo.
do no harm and also practice medicine.
Yep.
I
there is
absolutely
the
love
Doctor's Gar.
MaTsDaGger's
All right,
comment.
let's take turns.
Sorry, go ahead, Dan.
There is a Doctor's Gar, and now there's the Gardener's Gar. So is the Gardener's Gar is more or less the vegetarian, peace-loving, hippie Gar.
Well, if a town had a fire or a flood, the gardeners would be there to help.
Right on.
If there was a blight, if there were insects, things like that. They would be there to help. Like they would be the ones to help, with tree cutting, with all of those things, to make sure that there was a balance, that people didn't take too much. In the words of Semester, they don't mind. Plants don't mind if you pick a few, just not too much. And there's so many references you can take from Robert Jordan himself, and I think that would be a valid Gar or group.
Yeah. I also love the comment that MaTsDaGger said in the chat that the Gardener's Gar would have a number of offshoots.
Love it.
Very good.
I love it. I would love to think that Gardener, if they have the ability to, just make food, if they're just really good at producing grains and shit and feeding everyone. And that was one of Rand's early and often deal was starvation. So yeah, I'm on board with that. I could see where that would be a, not just besides ornamental wood. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, oh, cool. You get a cool chair because they sing. They do sing. But if they're able to make like all kinds of like food and stuff, then I'm on board with that.
Yeah,
So the way to your heart is food.
Yeah,
That's fair. That's fair. I'm not. That's not a judgment. That's.
Are you saying that the way to your puppet heart is through your puppet stomach?
I haven't eaten tonight, so yeah.
And eyebrow wax.
I made some soup. If you want to come over, some really good soup.
You know what's wrong with soup? Nothing. Soup is the best.
All right. If the next Gar isn't the soup Gar, I think we're gonna have a problem. What do you got next, Jansen?
I'm on Gar.
Next Gar is another one that I actually like. I'm calling them the Evolutionaries. They are in charge of secrets. Also, they're in charge of specializing in new technologies and enhancements in building.
There it is.
Can we call it Garwin's Law?
Cool. They're also
Guys, I'm trying.
They're charged with holding secrets, and they also are the ones that also deal with White Tower librarians all the time. And more information. They gather information. They're like a mix between the Masons and the CIA. They are in charge of all of those things.
My uncle online.
Keep them and keep the ones that are too powerful and too dangerous away from the world. I believe that they would be You know, there'd be like spy masters, things like that, and they would be the upper echelon of, if you can get into this group, you're going to know things that people don't know. You're going to know about channeling and secrets to channeling that people don't know. And they, you know, the Mahale would use them sporadically when they let him, you know, for new technologies. Like one of the things that Baron said in The Gathering Storm before she died was that was the mission of the Brown was to give the world knowledge, to make sure they understood what was happening, what was going on. I believe that these guys would do that in a different way. They would protect the world from things that were too dangerous for the world to have. You know, like there's always one of those kinds of groups in a powerful nation.
They stop the Agonors.
Yes.
Exactly. So it sounds like there's the Commander's Guard, and then the Evolutionary Guard comes in and goes, "All right, we'll handle this. You guys going back?" And the Commander's Guard goes, "You don't have the jurisdiction." And the Evolutionary Guard goes, "Brother, look at my badge. I'm evolutionary. Obviously, I have the jurisdiction." He's like, "Well, I'm talking to my commander." And he's like, "Go ahead." Go ahead, dude. I'm sorry.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and they're like, you know, kind of like the question.
The Born Guard identity.
Guardianity report
would have the eyes and ears as well. Like, you know, the Amerlin had her eyes and ears. The evolutionaries, they would have eyes and ears all over the world that would come to them, and they would have so they would be connected, and they could bestow their information that they thought was valid to the other Ashima that they thought they needed. And I think that they would have to have some kind of group like that, some kind of covert operations group, but also because they were a covert operations group, they also had other obligations, so people wouldn't know that they were the covert operations group. So I would call them the evolutionaries, kind of like the Masons.
Would they share information amongst the other Gar?
Information that they thought was useful, but there were some.
Man, you're just setting up the dang third.
Can we just call it Deep State Gar?
Yeah, come on.
Yeah. Well, you can't. That's the one great thing.
Drain the Gar. Drain the Gar.
The Swamp Gar.
Well, that's the thing. What I've learned being an actor for 40 years, the story you don't have to. So you have to have this stuff.
Yeah, no. I hear you. Yeah, but we don't have to it.
Remember that Jansen is not going ahead and putting together the most idyllic version of the Black Tower. He's putting together what is an actually realistic portrayal.
Hey,
what the Black Tower will be in.
Hey, Daniel, we'll see what Gar he would be a part of after he gives us his list, and I'm assuming it's evolutionary.
That's the things I wanted to throw out
I think
there.
that you should not put words in Jansen's mouth. But
I got one more Gar, and this is probably the most controversial.
Well, hold on. Before we move on, is there anything that you guys from the Black Tower wanted to mention about the Evolutionaries Gar?
Nope. I think the accuracy of that Gar hurts me in my soul, but is also super accurate.
Well, go ahead. Yes, I'm with it right now. We're there.
Hello, Goddess.
This one may hurt you too, because there's actually two more, but this one. Okay, number 7. This Gar.
Caught me with it.
I call the bringers of hope and light. They're the closest thing to clergy in the Black Tower.
I'm a little upset that you think that one would offend us.
Now listen to me though. Here's why.
What's it called again? The bringers of what and what?
Hope and light.
And light.
Hope and light.
Yes. Now, I believe
did you just make a Black Tower contingent of the Children of the Light?
Yes, I did. They follow.
Son of a bitch!
They follow the way. Now, if you remember what Vlad said in The Gathering Storm, Lothar Mantelar never said that using the one power was evil. All he said was that if you can use it, it would give you the potential of abusing your power. Now, I believe that these guys would grasp that as a whole and they would be like clergy, like following a faith. But they were also going to be the ones that are in charge of all the ceremonies that happen in the White Tower, in the Black Tower. When someone is promoted, you have one of the bringers of hope and light who are reading all of the knowledge to you about your beliefs, about what they stand for, about how you're supposed to portray yourself in the world. And I believe these people would be spiritual guides for people all over the world, to help them, to bring them peace, to bring them hope. Just kind of like, and they would also follow causes, just like the Blue Lodge. They would, be those people who would help people who were selfless and wanted to defend, the defenseless. And I believe that just like, in a realistic group, you would have people like that. And I think that following Lothar Mantelar's book would give them some cohesion, and also keep that aspect of the Wheel of Time world in the Wheel of Time.
I'm sorry.
And I know
All right, so first off, it should be Bringars of Hope and Light.
Oh, I love it.
That's just low hanging fruit
First
there.
and foremost, I want to say I was not laughing at you. I think you're
laughing with
you're
him?
so on point that I'm upset with that. I was laughing at actually comments in the chat.
no problem.
All right, so give me the elevator pitch. Let's say you are a member of this GAR and you are trying to recruit me, Jansen. Thank you, Ryan. Perfect.
Thanks, Ryan.
Give me the 30-second pitch to what what would I be doing? Just bringing hope and light? I mean, bring guards of hope and light?
Do you believe in what's right?
Uh-huh.
Do you believe that some people who channel shouldn't be channeled? Do you believe that there are people out there? Do you believe that there are people out there with voices so small that they need louder voices to speak for them?
Uh-huh.
I believe that those would be the kinds of things that they would be saying to people who would.
Okay.
Like
so,
that.
So they're not like outside of like airports with flowers.
No, well, you know how in
Okay.
the tower, every Sunday the
Or
ambulance
opening yoga studios.
every Sunday the ambulance seat has people come to ask her things for help or advice. This is how men got in the Great Hunt. And, I believe that the Black Tower would have something like that as well, where people came to ask for help, to ask for guidance, to ask for blessing, marriage, all of those things. The same things that they asked in the ambulance seat, I believe the things that they would
So they're
do.
kind of like a regional judge, like
District attorneys,
Spiritual guidance.
defense attorneys,
okay, so counselors.
Counselors, spiritual guidance.
life coaches.
Okay. So the
Therapists, even.
The therapy guild.
They could also be working
psychologists.
Psychologists.
Yeah, that's hard to say.
Hello, we'd like you to have this flower from.
All right, so let's play a game. So let's play a little game. We're going to mention occupations, and we're going to say which GAR would probably be who would be that. All right. So let me start. I'm going to say TSA.
Definitely
Commander.
Commander. What?
Yeah. Okay.
But like a less popular.
they wouldn't let
of the commander.
Well, yeah, that
the
is
thing
the
about it-
punish. When you do something wrong in the commander GAR, you get assigned to TSA.
Yes, that's your
it's
tone.
Yes.
It's standing at the entrance of the gateway rooms.
Yes.
And going
And someone's
ahead
like,
and
"I
making
gotta put
sure
on
that
some
everybody who
gloves
comes
here."
in and just, touching the junk of everybody who goes into the.
Can you imagine, I'm just going to step through a gateway real quick, and someone's like, whoa, sir. Do you have any items upon you that are liquid?
Hey.
No?
Hey, do you have 2.5 ounces of liquid on you right now? That
I've
water
got
bottle
this
cannot
barrel
go
of
through
apple
that gateway
brandy.
with you.
I don't answer questions. Am I being detained?
Am I being detained?
I'm being repressed. Help! I'm being repressed.
The senior violence inherited the system. Help! I'm being repressed.
I'm being oppressed.
Creators throwing magical swords at gentlemen is no legitimate form of government.
Just because some watery taunt.
Threw a sword at you.
All right,
okay.
so Pilot and Uber and anyone who does, we have travel now. Is there a specific guard that is dealing with travel? Is this now something that the Black Tower is facilitating to everyone?
I think those would be the gardeners, or even the evolutionaries. I think the gardeners would be the ones to know travel, just like the brain. I believe they would be the ones that, know about things and places that no one else knows about. I also believe the gardeners would be some of the best travelers with that talent. If you remember, Andro, who was a big traveler, Andro, and it's mentioned in the books that he traveled with Jane Farstripe. And in fact, if you remember, when Pavara wanted tea, he opened a little tiny pinhole to the wine spring in Two Rivers and got that water, which I thought was fantastic. A really nice thing. So I think that would be a gardeners. I think that's what they would be doing.
All right, Black Tower boys, do you have a occupation?
So he's in IT. So what would IT be?
Definitely,
Dude.
No, yes.
Yeah, definitely.
He said definitely the evolutionaries.
Yeah, I think it would.
They would be the IT people.
It'd be the guys.
Oh, yeah, shit, man. You have so you do have a shadow government, man. Jesus.
Is that what you think people who work in IT are? Shadow.
Well, if it's the secret police that are the IT people, then yeah,
You would have them. They would have them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan, do you have a occupation? Let's see how we would adapt this.
Oh, Speaker of the House.
So politician.
Yeah,
Speaker
there we
of
go.
The commander.
Politician.
Yeah, Speaker of the House requires a larger body of politics. So are you just talking politician?
Yeah, I think it could be a bringer of hope and light as well.
I think the bringer
good
of
point.
hope and light would be the most appropriate gar for politicians.
Yeah,
Is there a separation of hope and light?
No, there should be.
Because
I will just throw out there, even if it's in the bylaws of the Black Tower, a lot of people will figure out how to make sure that there isn't a separation between light and hope.
yes.
All right, so that's a good question. Great segue, Daniel, because I want to ask, in regards to the Black Tower, are there restrictions? Is there an oath rod per se? Is there anything that
Jansen's got it.
Jensen's already in there. All right,
Now,
cool.
this is the reason why I said we're only 25 years in.
Yes.
I believe that after 100 years, that the very first thing that the White Tower would bring against the Black Tower, as far as the common people are concerned, is how can we trust? Now, that being said, there is another oath rod out there in the hands of Terava and Galena. Now, I believe because of what we already know, the Shido will eventually be wiped out. There won't be any more of them, because we also know that the majority of Shanshan slaves and Dakovale and Shanshan are Shido. Now, when their year and a day is up and they try to leave, that is when the war between the Shido and the Shanshan starts, and they wipe them out.
Ooh!
Now, we saw parts of this throughout the end through her going through the rings. So I believe that still happens, that the Shanshan wipe out all of the Shido in the rings. And I believe that somehow the Black Tower gets their hands on that other oath rod, and then they start having their own bylaws about 125 years into the New Age.
So what restrictions do you think they are putting on themselves?
Now that's a good question. I haven't come up with that.
Okay. All right. That'll be a future show.
I actually would I hate to say it. I love you, Jansen. You're doing a fantastic job, but I actually think that based on what we've learned in the book series about the Oath Rod, both the fact that it is ineffective, and by ineffective I just mean that two things can be true. If you believe something hard enough, it is your truth, and therefore you can speak it. And also, people can Pinocchio around words all they want to go ahead and make their statements true without speaking the truth.
It may have been a
I didn't
Band-Aid
say
at the
that
time.
wasn't true. But that plus the current Oath Rod seemingly cutting life down.
True.
I actually pretty strongly believe the Black Tower would never actually have anything to do with an Oath Rod. Now, again, going ahead and putting together bylaws, going ahead and putting together restrictions on themselves, I think that is important. I definitely think that that is important, and that no organized function should exist and thrive without going ahead and trying to be as honest and overseeing themselves as possible.
I mean, some kind of
Yes, some kinds of checks and balances, but I don't think that the Black Tower would actually have the Oath Rod as a check or balance.
Okay.
I'll just kind of echo what Daniel is saying here. Logain, I would say the Oath Rod is simply not an option whilst Logain leads the Black Tower.
Okay.
100%, simply because he's been shielded, he's been gentled, he's been in a position in which he's not been able to use the power in any kind of a scenario.
True.
I believe what he will do when you want to start talking about the 25-year post last battle. So I'm gonna start saying PLB post last battle. So if you want to start saying the difference between 25 PLB, 100 PLB, the difference between there is 25 PLB. It's not even a conversation. It's not even a conversation. The Black Tower is establishing, it's building foundations, it's getting what's going on, it's feeling itself out, it's finding its way. 100 PLB, I imagine that you will have Cadsuane coming out publicly stating things like, well, you can't trust the Black Tower. They don't have any kind of Oath Rod restrictions. They don't have any checks and balances. They're just another power organization completely and totally unchecked. And the problem with that argument is that 100 years PLB, we have the Aiel Wise Ones, and the Sea Folk, who have absolutely expanded into using male channelers.
Okay.
And so while there will be some loyalists who will say, Mother is correct, the Amaryllin seat is correct, there needs to be these checks and balances, Logain is going to be 100% against Cadsuane. And 100% like, yeah, we've got examples of two other organizations who have male channelers with no problems. He's going to say no problems. And I'm not subjecting my men to that.
All right. So what we have with the Black Tower, though, is essentially a militia. These dudes all day, all night are just practicing their yes, sir. Yes, I'll do push-ups. Yes, sir. Without it's a military, it's a pseudo-military thing. It's more or less a militia. These guys could more or less be plotting to kidnap the Michigan governor. So now it's been legitimized, or is it still this dog shit like Proud Boy stuff?
Well, this is why I believe they would need the Oath Rod, because we have to consider one other thing.
Right.
There's something. Dark One was locked away. There's still evil in the world, and we know that because of Rand and everyone still has a choice. Now, the reason why the Oath Rod is good in the White Tower is because we know right now that there's no Black Aja left. And there can't be because of the Oath Rod.
Oh!
So, which brings me to the last guard.
Well, hold on. Before we leave this point, though, I mean, so if restrictions are put, what if some of these Ashmen are like, well, I certainly don't want my freedoms being restricted. Hey boys, let's just do our own thing. And how hard would it be to keep a Black Tower intact? I guess the last card, they're nice.
This essentially brings up the challenge that the Black Tower and society as a whole must face eventually. Because, okay, let's say you bring an Oath Rod to the Black Tower. And let's say you say, Black Tower, in order to have any legitimacy in the world, you must submit to the 3 oaths. Ha! And the Black Tower
It had to be 3.
finally says, okay, cool. We submit to the 3 oaths. We submit to the 3 oaths, and we are like Aes Sedai. We have the same legitimacy as Aes Sedai, and we have submitted to the 3 oaths. What about the wise ones? What about Aiel men who can channel? What about the sea
What about
folk?
the wind finders? Yeah. What about
the sea folk
the Sharan?
men who can channel?
What about the Shanshan who now have both men and women who can channel? And we don't know what they're going to do with Damane.
Well, the very fact that
after the last battle.
None of them have an Oath Rod or anything, but that legitimizes the White Tower in the world more than anyone else.
Does
People
it?
would trust them more. People would
I guarantee
trust them
you.
more.
Avienda homeschools her kids. She is not taking.
Hey, Jansen, let's talk
Damn it,
about.
you need to not say that while I'm drinking.
Hey, real quick, Jansen, give me an example of someone trusting the White Tower.
Well, okay, here we go. King Roydron or King Darling. The White Tower said that they would send help tomorrow.
And they didn't.
No, well, this is a fictional conversation. I don't know if they, but if they hear directly from an Aes Sedai that they're going to do something, they're going to do it, and they can know that there's not going to be some kind of shade. Like the Black Tower can say, "Sure, we'll come help you," and not do anything at all.
I mean, I feel like even as far afield as Emmons Field, they knew colloquially that the truth that an Aes Sedai tells you is not the truth you want to hear, or is whatever. Like that is.
Because again, I appreciate what you're saying, but if the White Tower says we stand with you, Manetheren, what does that actually mean? They haven't actually gone ahead and dedicated troops. They haven't gone ahead and dedicated anything. But do you stand there and say to the Amerlin seat, or any Aes Sedai in the White Tower, give me your word that you will do X before you actually believe them? Is that actually that much more legitimate than just having to sort of trust them on what they're saying to a certain degree?
I'll go with what Swan said.
Hopes and prayers to the White Tower to Manetheren.
The Oath Rod, the three oaths make them not just a group of wilders hanging out and saying we can do this and that. The 3 oaths brought cohesion to the White Tower and made them what they're the reason why they were
I do agree that is 100% true.
So it's like even if
3,000 years later, 2,000 years later from the forming of the White Tower, you're now having the problem of legitimacy.
Totally. And I mean, I'm saying even if you have the Black Tower and the oath is to defend, follow the light, and to fight the shadow. That's it.
Well, what do we learn about the oaths, though? They're largely ineffectual.
They're largely ineffective.
They are.
The only thing that they really did do, though, was they gave, because no matter who you are, whatever group you are, people channel, anyone who could not channel was very around. Because you have to consider, I mean, if you consider the scale of what a channeler is, they're an extremely powerful person, like a god. walking amongst people, and it's like I go to Superman, where I quote Superman, where Superman says, "I have to be the most delicate person in the world because I could break everything."
Yes, and the beautiful piece of this conversation, and the thing I love about it the most is, and I'll be the first to admit, a lot of people like to talk shit about the 3 Oaths and how the 3 Oaths ended up being largely ineffectual, and it was initially enacted to allow people to trust the White Tower, and it eventually served to have people not trust the White Tower at all. And I think this is a really
Well, they had a big PR. Josh, they had a big PR problem.
Yeah, aside from other things, yes.
Wait, do we have the PR?
This was a knee-jerk reaction to a public relation nightmare.
It was over the course of several thousand years. Like, I understand fully.
Okay.
And the beauty of this particular story point from the perspective of Robert Jordan is that Robert Jordan understood this particular piece of humanity, in that your honor is not forced. Your honor is something that is earned. It is something that is given to people as a gift, and only effective if that gift is accepted. Yes. You can't walk in and say, "Look, guys, I have an oath rod that says I can't tell a lie."
Yeah.
But it's okay. I can't tell a lie. This pen is royal blue. Like, we have Aes Sedai over the course of 1,000 years have figured out how to be like, "Oh yeah, totally, I agree. That's bad. Oh, it makes me so happy to know that you're going to help us. I'm glad that you think that. You can go about and do your thing." And it's like, but they found ways around it because humans are going to be humans.
Exactly.
And Robert Jordan understood this. And what the result is you have amazing Aes Sedai, like Pavara Sedai of the Red Aja, who amazing.
Yeah.
And then who's
and
the
Moiraine Sedai?
And Moiraine, and who's the Red Sister who was Mistress of the Novices when Egwene was in the tower?
Oh my God, yeah.
I can't remember her name.
Hold on.
Someone in chat, help me. Sylviana! Thank you.
Hey, look at me, Ryan.
Sylviana Sedai.
I am very impressive.
Absolute amazing woman. Absolute amazing woman. Bound by the 3 Oaths. Who was so amazing.
Okay, well,
so amazing.
How many spankings? How many spankings? Come on now.
Yeah. So
why are we praising the Master?
Does the Black Tower have spankings?
Alviarin. You've got Shirion.
Some people are into that, Ryan. Don't you spank shame.
Yeah.
So, boys, will the Black Tower have spankings?
No.
Yes.
Well,
they will absolutely not institutional spankings, but there will be spankings. You
Tuesday
know that
there'll be like
I'm not saying kinky
Saber
I mean, like,
there are
is
definitely
there
some Saber neighbors who are into some spankings.
Is there going to be an equivalent of Shiriam's study?
I think
yes and no. I think that there will be a punishment and disciplinary thing, but I think it will look very little like the Mistress of Novices and very much like something else.
Like military shit, right?
Mistress of Novices.
So I have a kind of a broader.
Well, hold on. Let Jansen. So, I didn't hear what you said real fast before we go past that. What did you say again?
Oh, I said Androl is the closest thing to the Mistress of Novices in the Black Tower. They showed that in the books. They showed how all of the new recruits followed him, trusted him. Even though he was the weakest, they all looked to him for guidance.
Yeah. He was like the parent who wouldn't spank you, but made you feel like you just got spanked.
He's like,
I'm
really
not
disappointed.
mad. I'm just
It's just disappointed. Yeah.
You know, I expected more from you.
So, Jansen, I want a broad criticism of your future vision.
And one more though.
What's that? One more what?
One more.
This
guard.
is actually going to be.
Oh, we haven't done the guard?
We're gonna have no criticism.
I thought we were at the last guard.
No, pop it up.
All
Now,
right.
you guys remember, we don't
It's
know.
the final
We don't
guard.
know if they all left with Tame. Some of them could have stayed. There's no Oathrod. There's still evil in the world. So some of the Black some of the Black Tower channelers could be evil. So we have an evil Aja in the Black.
No,
The Dark One guy.
no,
The
No.
darker.
The dark guard.
What's it called?
doesn't exist.
Dark
Josh,
Yeah.
stop it. Stop.
It doesn't exist.
Stop. You sound
Nope.
like Sawan Sanche right now.
It doesn't
Stop.
exist, though.
Josh, don't do that.
Why do we need to talk about it? It doesn't exist.
Well, there's still at least three Ashaman alive right now who are evil and still have their minds still fine. And they have Nishrila. And
The
the other
fact checker
four-
Mahale.
the
The
oth- all
poison
the-
checker
all-
Mahale.
All 8 of the guys and girls who were taken by the
Garnon.
Alvarian is still alive.
So,
I broke Daniel.
and to your point, how many?
No, you didn't.
I'm sure there
Bryant
is a
did.
couple
You
evil
guys
Aiel.
are amazing.
I'm sure there's a couple evil Aiel that survived. I'm sure that there is
Well,
other dark friends and whatnot that were on the periphery.
but we touched on that point earlier, though. There are a lot of people that are going to say, "It's the last battle. We won! Yay! Everybody's good again."
But
And
you have to
there's
remember
still
what
dark
Fell-
friends.
Remember what Herod Fell said. It can't be the last battle.
Yep.
Because we're here, and when we get back to here,
Yes,
over again.
it's a circle
Almost
Or-
like a wheel.
or
People
like a wheel.
And like I said, you have to have conflict in a story or it won't go nowhere. So I
Do you
believe
know?
So
the
having
real-
based on this balance, then are there always going to be dark channelers?
Yes.
Yes, there will always be dreadlords.
There are
And so
dark
is-
people.
and
People
so-
are channelers. There will always be dark channelers. There
Will
is no
the-
inherent buffer to a human being not turning to the shadow or having conflict within themselves or turning to the darkness just because they are a channeler. Therefore, it will absolutely happen again. I'm just waiting for all of the dark Gars, the Garanon's followers to show up in Camelin in mass to see Elida's brother or Elida's sister, because she actually only faked her own death. She was not actually killed, and she'll be back to go ahead and turn in all of the Black Tower members that are actually cannibal pedophiles. That's what I'm looking forward
Well,
to.
yeah, just don't order that pizza with extra anchovies. Mother, you
Sorry, what was
pervert.
that, Jansen?
QAnon and the Wheel of Time.
Yes, right. The Garanon.
The queue of time.
But no, and I'm seeing in chat they're making a lot of really great points that there are still Forsaken who are not
That
dead
is also true.
that
True.
exist and live in the world,
True.
and there are still dark friends. The network of dark friendery hasn't disappeared.
Millie
No.
Skane is still running around.
So let's talk about this then, guys. The White Tower had never, in fact, you would get your face slapped and be sent to the freaking study if you mentioned Black Aja. Denial's not just a river, boys. It's also the way the White Tower worked. But guess what, guys?
practically an Aja.
The blinders are off. Everyone knows what the hell's going on now. There's some dark shit. People are bad, even if they can channel. The White Tower and the Black Tower know this both. So in this fourth age, we know that the Red Aja is no longer hunting down the one guy they find every generation. Yeah, if they're lucky. They're not just hating men, all this stuff. But they also are realizing that there are tons of channelers out there if you go find them. Go to the two rivers, you throw a rock, you may hit one.
Yep.
Two.
Okay, for real though.
Hold on. And two, that there are bad people that will exploit our organizations. So my question is, and hopefully this matches to what you're saying or thinking, Josh. Do these towers evolve to these realizations now? Do they have a recruitment Aja? Do they have so I assume that the evolutionaries would probably be like the eternal affairs of the Black Aja, or Black Tower rather.
Yeah.
So
I think the bringers of hope and light would actually be recruiters.
I would make actually 2 points to that. I would bring 2 points to that. One, first and foremost, if anyone understands how the shadow can infiltrate your ranks, it's the Black Tower.
True.
I mean, literally,
at this point,
first major
they're going to
action,
forget.
Yeah,
But at this point, they still
yes.
remember.
Their first major action in the series, besides gathering for the first time in 3,000 years, is fighting. It is literally light versus dark in the Black Tower prior to getting to the last battle. And that is people overcoming Taim and his influence and him being a general fuckhead.
So how would you
if I can say that.
How'd you keep the
Second,
evil out of it?
Well, I have a question. I have an answer to
and
that.
that goes to my second
Hold
point.
on. Yeah,
That goes to my second point, which would be that the Red Aja, in dealing with rogue channelers, quote unquote rogue channelers, more specifically prior to this being male channelers, their mission statement evolves. Now they're dealing with rogue channelers. So what better role for them to be a recruitment style Aja? Because that gives them positive control over people who can channel.
So
it would make most sense for the Red Aja to be integrated into communities, testing people for the gift to see if they can channel and bringing them to the White and or Black Towers respectively. And this is once again why you're going to have a consensus of population for cooperation and working together, where you've got leadership, as it is so often prevalent, leadership that's like, no, we're not going to work together. So after Logain and Catswain, hey, maybe there's a Grey Tower, maybe there's a co-op, I don't know. But at this point in time, you're going to have
tower.
People that are working together, trying to prevent the mistakes of the past, hopefully. But people gonna people.
But they're still gonna have to drug test these. I'm using the term drug test, but dark friend
Ironic
test
for you, but continue.
I mean, so let's random dark friend test. Hey, everyone in the Dark Tower. Hey, you need to piss into my stream, my weave.
I think that would be probably the most powerful argument for utilizing an oath rod.
So maybe the oath rod is the test to get into the Black Tower, and then you use it to swear that you're not a dark friend, to pledge and then they take it away.
But then you still got to renew it. You still got to do random tests.
True, and that's great. So yeah, I can see that too. Anytime you have somebody who's under suspicion, that's when you use their oath rod in the Black Tower.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how they did it the show, kind of, huh, too.
A little,
Yeah.
dude. They use that oath rod really effectively to root out the Black Aja. And
They
again,
did.
I really dislike the oath rod. I really do.
Oh, I
I
do
think it's
too.
highly problematic. But again, even things that are highly problematic can actually be used very effectively for something good, a la rooting out the Black Aja from the tower, and something that is inherent, or not inherently, because that doesn't really exist, but a tool that seems to be put together almost exclusively for good reasons can often be used for bad reasons as well. So again, I think that the Oath Rod is just a problematic entity on its own, but at the same time, it can absolutely be used very effectively by people who know what they're doing to do a specific task that is way good for whatever institution they're using it for, a la finding the Black Aja
I
and
like
the
that.
White
I
Tower.
think that's what they
Good
used
point.
it for in the Age of Legends, and I think I have proof for that from Simmerhog's POV when after Kratzu spanked her, and she was thinking about the things that they did, or actually no, is when she killed the person for Erengar, when she killed the Ice Erengar. She said they wanted to find me, and then I couldn't have my pleasure anymore, which was hurting me. They wanted to bind her, so that's why she went to the shadow, because she didn't want to get binded away from her pleasure.
I think that, Daniel, I think you've touched on something that's really, really important. And that is that the Oath Rod, even with its capabilities and powers and whatnot, at the end of the day is an inanimate object and can't make someone be good or evil.
True.
All it
Correct.
can do,
Yeah.
all it can do is narrow down the parameters in which someone is able to operate. And guys, especially to you people who have kids, if you tell them you can't do this, what are they going to do? No, everyone who has kids just went like this.
Always respectively understand why you're telling them to not do that
No,
thing and
no.
never
Daniel,
do that thing.
It's yes,
Daniel?
Father dearest.
So
Daniel, it's never been more apparent that you don't have kids than now.
Let me ask you,
Was
Jansen.
the sarcasm not dripping enough off my voice?
Yeah, it's all over your beard.
It brings it to the point. The nice
So let me
little
ask
point.
you, Jansen. Let me ask you. So, the White Tower famously has tests through Terangrial that the people that enter have to go through. The Black Tower does not.
At this
There
time,
is no rings. There is no arches. There is
I
no.
mean, there are.
I actually have an
Not
answer
rings.
for this.
Okay, so yeah.
Because of just of the structure that Rand made it with bringing guys like Harry Hasland to teach sword work. I believe that they would use something kind of like the judging of a bladesmaster, when 3 or 5 a shaman deemed you worthy to get promoted.
Yeah, but you also have an Asha that or a guard that is way the leaf that wouldn't even want to fight. You're having you want to have nerds that
The
don't.
criteria can be
So
different for
fighting doesn't have to be the
different
criteria,
Asha.
especially now because they're men, not weapons. Fighting doesn't have to be the criteria to become a dedicated then a shaman. You know, it could
Sarcasm.
be skill based.
Well then.
It could be, and like you said, we're only in the 25th year. Those things, it took thousands of years for the White Tower to actually get what they needed. So that could be a work in progress. That could be something that the Bringers of Hope and Light demand the commanders to do at some point, that we need to have a structure. We need to have something that says why we become what we are.
But there wouldn't be a Terangrial involved.
I would love to not have that be true.
Yeah, because it hasn't been
Here's-
through the books.
It's all
You know-
military stuff up to now.
Here's why I think that, though. You've got tradition. Okay. Let me say it like this. The Black Tower has their own unique refiner's fire. Okay? In the White Tower, they say, you pass this test, that's your refiner's fire. you prove that you're strong, you prove that you're focused, you prove that you can be one of us. And the way we do that is by sending you through this TreeXHugger. And that's good enough for them. The Black Tower doesn't have the advantage of having access to a store of TreeXHugger.
Yeah.
So they have to make do with what all humans have to make do with. And that is, I will set the standard here, and I will hope that A, you can meet the standard, and B, that the people who meet the standard are good people.
Yes.
Because I will say this right now. I will be extremely, and I apologize, I'm going on a tangent right now. I will be extremely vocal about this. As someone who served in the U.S. Air Force, there are men and women who I am proud to have served with, and there are men and women who I am not proud to have served with. But guess what? All of them graduated basic training. Yep. All of them graduated tech school. Yep. Well, most of them anyway. Many of them served their first enlistment and got out. And many of those people that I'm ashamed to have served with arose to positions of power. Guys, there's a chief master sergeant. Highest enlisted rank. There's a man who I absolutely despise.
I mean, we agree that the White Tower had a shitty management style, and the Black Tower, first of all,
exploitable management style.
And I actually love management style. If an accepted didn't like what a novice was doing, she could just lay into this woman and even have corporal punishment. It was a shitty that you could not call truth to power here. There was no check and balance at all. It was whoever was above you would shit runs downhill, and if you are down there, guess what? And in fact, this even happens with Ben, with Gareth Bryn and Swan, and Swan has to do all of the laundry. And she's like, to hell with this. Min, you do it. Let me know and I'll have you clean his boots too. I mean, this was all her, this was the style of management that they had. It was, hey, if you don't do this, I'm either going to have you to get spanked or I'm going to send you off to a farm for a month to do shit. I mean, it's bad. The Black Tower was not much better. The Black Tower was, we are creating weapons, and if you aren't able to do it, hey, you can't do 20 push-ups? Hey, I'm going to kick your ankle.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I don't know. Right. But it's
with the power.
So do we hope or assume that these management styles have, I guess with the White Tower, no, we have Catswain. We're not looking at empathy and grace and compassion there. I mean, so does the Black Tower still? Is it more or less West Point, guys?
Well, I believe this. Speaking of, and a shout out to Kev for asking this question, which I think is a really good one, and I thought about this before. Do people get in a GAR for life? Now, I think as a big difference from the Black Tower to the White Tower, I don't think that you have to be in there for life. I think that you could even get promoted to the Commander's Guard. I think that you could switch over on behest of the leader of whatever guard, and with their blessings, and be able to go to a different one if you wanted to.
Hold on, so these guards have tiers? You get promoted to Commander, and then you would get promoted to
lateral promotion.
Yeah, lateral.
Oh, okay.
Well, because again, there's got to be some. Well, not got to be. There doesn't have to be, but there is almost guaranteed going to be some hierarchy within each GAR as well. And so you could get, if you are a lieutenant in the the Gardener's Guard.
Military terms? Are we sticking with military terms with the Black Tower?
I didn't say that. I
Yes.
was just using it as an example. If you have a lieutenant in the Gardener's Guard and they get promoted to general in the Commander's Guard, that's still a promotion, even if it's not in the Guard that you were, because you can have a general of the Gardener's Guard as well. It's just an up and over kind of promotion, rather than just necessarily only being within your Guard. And only being a one-way ride, if you will.
Yeah, I agree with that. And to answer your question, I believe
it
is military, because the very first thing you are when you go to the Black Tower is a soldier.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So the consistent? Is that how the Black Tower is 25 years, maybe even 100 years? It is still a more or less a West Point, right?
Every single group in Randland that has a big group has some kind of military.
I would say more accurately, it would not necessarily be West Point. It would be a university.
Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely.
And there would be a West Point
with a heavy ROTC
in some ways.
There would be an ROTC convention. Yes, absolutely.
All right, real quickly, let me intervene.
We would hope that most of the Black Tower recruiters, Gar, would not go around to cities and just lie about what you would get if you actually enlisted.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I apologize.
and they wouldn't like specialize in underserved populations.
Hey, bro, did you see my Corvette I pulled up in? I'm just a recruiter. Imagine being in the Coast Guard.
Everyone in the military has a fucking.
Hey. So,
hey,
Jansen, Lashley, Haynes, I want to ask you, we are over the 2-hour limit. How are you doing? We should wrap this up, right?
Yes.
All right.
Wrap it up.
Yeah, we're going to wrap this bad boy up. I want to remind everybody that we do have a sponsor, and their name is touristhatcoffeecompany.com. Go to touristhatcoffeecompany.com and use the promo code LEAF2022, and you will get 5% off your order.
5% off, and it's cheap coffee.
Yeah,
I mean, not cheap. It's inexpensive. It's shockingly inexpensive.
Yeah. The
Wait,
price
what was
you
that
paid.
code again?
Leaf 2022 and
2022 Leaf 2022. Got it.
Thank you so much.
Right
You
now.
are a professional, Josh. Yeah, and it helps our channel, and every bag sold proceeds go to help children in need around the world, child education, re-education from child soldiers. I mean, it's amazing what their scope and what they want to do. They are an ethical company, as is the way of the Leaf. Brother Dan, thank you so much. Jansen, Lashley, Haynes, you did amazing. We love your list. Daniel, Josh from the Black Tower Podcast, what do you have coming up before we end the show? Let everyone know.
Well,
what can we
since
look forward
we
to?
are live, we can go ahead and talk about this. In 3 weeks, we are going to be getting together in Los Angeles, California for our annual The Gathering
The Gathering Madness!
Ryan needs to go. Jansen,
I'm here.
Jansen's in Los Angeles.
Jansen,
I'm here.
you pop over into our Discord or on our website. We'll have more information there as things go on. We are getting together
you
on
gotta
the
come see
weekend.
us, though.
No matter what, trust me, I will be.
October
Excellent.
15th,
15th and 16th. That is
I'm
the
right.
Saturday
Put
and
it on
Sunday.
your calendar. And with the addition of Jansen, we now have 2 confirmed celebrities coming to the.
Okay.
This will be the 4th annual Gathering Madness. We will have panels. We will have #Taste the Taint.
Taste the Taint. Jansen, you're not aware the Black Tower Podcast at live events have homemade hot sauce that they challenge you to taste the taint.
Is it made with ice peppers?
As close as we could possibly come to.
The sauce that I have available for this Taste the Taint is habaneros, But I
Pineapple.
do have a new recipe that I am currently working on building. It will not be ready for the Gathering Madness. But go to blacktowerpod.com. All the Gathering Madness information is available there.
Indeed.
It's going to be amazing. If you're in LA, or if you would like to fly and or drive to LA, we would happily receive you.
Yes.
For all the fun that is going to happen. It's going to be amazing. It is the 4th annual Gathering Madness.
I'm going to be there.
Guys, be proud of that. Fourth time that you've done this. I mean,
4 years.
You've seen all the people that have come on since the show happened, and yay, man, this is the 4th for y'all. Way to go!
Are you gonna run for another term?
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
We would, but we're actually very worried about the way of the Leaf going ahead and putting together campaign ads for Narg to run against us. So we'll wait until the last minute to announce our campaign.
Yeah, we don't want to give you guys time to advertise against us.
Oh,
Ryan,
we're
Black Tower
here.
Podcast. Go to blacktowerpod.com for all things you need for Black Tower
Every time.
For real?
satisfaction.
Oh yeah, that's
No,
for real,
honestly,
Jansen.
You guys are.
I want to talk. I was on that show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Daniel won that show.
Which one was that?
So it was the first season that NBC took it over in America. It was episode 10 called "Whose Cereal Is All Luck and No Charm."
Okay. I can't believe that.
I guess really what I should be saying with the Gathering Madness is that we're gonna have 3 celebrities there. Jansen, unannounced or secret, sealed to the Mahale, and Daniel from the Black Tower Podcast.
Daniel from the Black Tower Podcast is not a celebrity, but okay.
Daniel's a celebrity.
Thank you, Matt.
Wait, we need a rap. We need a finger guns rap.
Yes!
Oh yes! Yes! Jansen!
I love it.
Wait, go big.
Good.
Yeah, do it again.
Fantastic.
Oh my God!
Oh
Look
my
at that
God.
handsome
Oh my
man!
God, Guys, do
You
we
look like
have
Kid
a
Cudi.
weakest link
Man, that's
Gathering
church.
Madness?
Yeah,
I think you should.
Gathering Madness?
Hey,
Oh my
Jansen,
God.
that sure looks like a casino floor.
I'll host it. We should have a weakest link. I will host it. We'll get contestants.
All right,
and
brother-
they'll all be wheel
Brother
of
Dan.
Oh my God, this is happening.
Take
Thank
it.
you,
This is
LeafCast.
amazing. I love this.
Here it comes, Brother Dan.
Oh yes.
On the weakest link, hey, you either swim or then you sink. If you sink, you hold your breath, plug your nose, then that's how it goes. She'll kick your ass
that
off.
was it. All right, humans on all the spectrum, thank you for sticking this out with us. It was a highly speculative, theoretical discussion.
If you haven't puppeted that subscribe button, do it. Do it before you leave.
Yes, thank you. Very professional, Daniel, of you to interrupt the outro. So, go to Black Tower Podcast to see more highly professional, amazing insights from these beautiful bearded men. Stick around for Tuesday for our first time reader show. We are approaching our 100th episode. In a couple weeks, we're going to meet 100, and we'll see if we can get some special guests for that show. Brother Dan's rocking his jock off. You're doing amazing. Brother Dan, you want to say goodbye to everyone? Take it out.
I'm pulling a rope.
Oh, pull the rope. All right, as always, run for your lives. This is the way of the Leaf.